In the heart of the jungle, where silence breathes and sunlight dances on feathers, there exist birds so breathtaking, they seem woven from dreams. This isn't just about beauty, it's about wonder. Let's follow their colors into the wild. In the emerald heart of the jungle, where sunlight filters through thick canopies like liquid gold, a flash of color burns through the leaves. A flame, no, a bird. It is the scarlet macaw, one of nature's most breathtaking creations. A bird. So vividly painted, you might think a rainbow melted into its feathers. Its body is cloaked in a brilliant crimson red, wings laced with saffron yellow and royal blue. As it flies, it doesn't just cut through the air, it paints the sky. There is something ancient about its call, a wild, echoing screech that speaks not just to the jungle, but to time itself, a call that once rang in the ears of man. Kings and echoed over the temples of forgotten civilizations. To those who once worshipped nature, this bird wasn't just beautiful, it was sacred. But beauty alone does not define the scarlet macaw. This bird is a symbol of bond, of loyalty, of deep connection. When a macaw finds a mate, it's for life. Through storms, hunger, and danger, they stay together. You'll see them perched side by side, grooming each other gently with their beaks, whispering love in the only language they know, touch, color, and call. In a world where we often forget what it means to stay, truly stay, the scarlet macaw reminds us that real beauty is not just in appearance, it's in devotion. High above the forest floor, they soar in pairs, screaming with joy, flashing in the sun like twin flames. And when dusk settles in and the jungle grows quiet, they huddle on the branches, beak to beak, feather to feather, like a single soul divided in two. But their story isn't just poetry, it's also pain, because these radiant birds, like so many jewels of the jungle, are being stolen by cages, taken by greed, trapped for their colors, for their charm, for the selfish idea that something so wild should be owned. Their forests shrink, their calls grow fewer, and the sky once painted with their flights begins to fade. Yet, there is still hope. In pockets of rainforest where old trees still stand, you might still see a scarlet macaw swoop across a riverbank, or hear its wild cry pierce the quiet. And in those rare moments, you'll remember that the jungle is not silent. It still sings. It still burns bright. Because somewhere above the green world, the scarlet macaw still dances with the wind, not for us, not for fame, but for love. So the next time you see red, not in anger, but in flame. The next time you hear a cry, not of sorrow, but of freedom, close your eyes and remember, there's a bird in the sky, burning like fire, not just beautiful, not just wild, but alive. In a forest where the clouds kiss the treetops and mist dances like spirits between the leaves, there lives a creature so rare, so beautiful, it almost doesn't seem real. The resplendent Quetzal, not just a bird, but a memory. A legend. In motion, its feathers shimmer with emerald and sapphire, a living jewel carved by ancient hands. But it's not the brightness alone that steals your breath. It's the way it moves, silent, graceful, almost unreal. When the Quetzal flies, it doesn't flap like other birds. It glides, floats, like a whisper moving through air, as if it doesn't belong entirely to this world. The Mayans believed it was the spirit of freedom, so sacred that killing one was forbidden. They plucked a single feather and let the bird go, for to cage it would be to curse the forest. Can you imagine a bird so beautiful, no one dared to own it? The male, during mating season, grows tail feathers 3 times the length of his body, long flowing plumes that ripple like silk as he soars. He doesn't sing like the others. His call is soft, almost mournful, as though he's remembering something the world has forgotten. And maybe he is the Quetzal nests in trees, hollowed by woodpeckers, deep within the mossy hollows of cloud forests. He does not choose open lands. He hides in the places where only silence lives, where time slows and every leaf is a secret. When a female appears, the male dances midair, tail streaming behind him, a slow ballet in the mist. He offers her not just color, but patience, not just charm, but safety. If she chooses him, they nest together, side by side, sharing the burden of life. Feeding, guarding, nurturing. It's a love story. Hidden in the clouds, but like all things, rare and sacred. The Quetzal story is one of fragile survival. The forests are disappearing. Each tree that falls is a story that ends. And with every clearing, the Quetzal flies a little higher, retreats. A little deeper into the shadows, you see. It doesn't fight like an eagle or scream like a hawk. It simply fades. And isn't that the saddest kind of loss? Not with blood or thunder, but with quiet. Yet hope remains in Costa Rica and Guatemala. People still walk quietly through the early morning fog, hoping to glimpse one. Just once. Birdwatchers, poets. Children all stand breathless as the green phantom appears, then vanishes into the branches. And in those moments, hearts beat slower. Eyes widen. Because for a few seconds, the jungle remembers. It remembers the times when nature didn't hide. When beauty didn't need protection. When freedom had wings, and they were green dot. So if you ever find yourself in a forest where the clouds don't just hover, but live, where moss clings to bark like velvet, and silence is louder than sound, look up, and if you're lucky, you'll see it. A flash of emerald, a glint of crimson, ghost with feathers, and you'll understand that Quetzal isn't just a bird, it's a promise. That even in a world that forgets, beauty remembers how to survive. In the quiet moments of dawn, as dew clings to leaves and the earth begins to breathe again, the jungle stirs. And then it dazzles. From the undergrowth steps, a creature not just made of feathers, but of pride, poetry, and magic. The Indian peafowl. Or as the world knows it, the peacock is nature's most theatrical artist. A bird that doesn't simply live, performs. And when it does, the forest becomes its stage. His body shimmers in sapphire blue like the evening sky just before darkness falls. His crest, delicate, feathered, elegant, bobs with every step. But it's the tail. Oh, the tail. Is a waterfall of color, a cascade of green and gold, bronze and emerald, a canvas brushed by divine hands. It opens not with force, but with grace, forming a perfect fan, an ancient symbol of beauty and strength. And then he dances, not for applause, not for the world, but for love. Each step deliberate, each feather trembling with emotion. He circles the peahen, a silent plea in his display. See me, he says. Choose me. This isn't vanity. This is vulnerability. It's a soul fully exposed in light, in color, in courage. The peahen watches, silent and still. She is not impressed by color alone. She looks for symmetry, for balance, for truth. And if the dance moves her, if she sees not just beauty but honor, she will come closer. Their union is quiet. The dance ends, and life begins. Across cultures, across centuries, the peacock has stood for royalty, divinity, and the eternal. In India, it is the national bird, sacred to gods, sung in poetry, painted in palaces. In myth, it is said to consume poison and still live, a symbol of endurance, of purity, of resilience. But behind the grandeur lies a quieter truth. The peacock is not just a symbol. He's a guardian of the forest. By foraging, calling, and keeping watch, he protects the ecosystem. His loud, echoing cry pierces the silence, a natural alarm, warning others of predators, of danger, even in beauty. He serves, but his world is changing. The safe forests grow thin. Roads slice through his home. Plastic, noise, and human apathy dim the stage he once danced upon. And so, the performance is seen less and less. But then, a monsoon evening arrives. Thunder hums, the soil breathes, and in the misty clearing, he appears. Tail lifted, raindrops caught like diamonds in his plume. And he dances again, because the jungle hasn't given up, and neither has he. So the next time you see a peacock, don't just look at the colors. Look at the courage. He carries centuries of grace in every feather. He dances not because he's certain of love, but because he hopes for it. And hope, dear listener, is the most beautiful color of all. In the deepest corners of Papua New Guinea's rainforest, where light barely touches the ground and silence grows thick between branches, lives a creature that seems carved not from biology, but from dreams. The bird of paradise is not just a bird. It is movement. It is color. It is enchantment with feathers. To see one is to question everything you thought you knew about nature. How can something so wild, so untamed, be so exquisitely precise? There are over 40 species of birds of paradise, each more surreal than the last. Some are draped in velvet black with iridescent green breasts that glow like emerald lanterns in the shadow. Others have wires for tails, fans of feathers, or plumes shaped like halos. Some look like they wear capes. Others like they stepped out of a painter's fantasy, but all have one thing in common: the dance. Imagine this. A male clears a tiny patch of forest floor, leaf by leaf, twig by twig, until it's perfect. His stage, his moment. And then he begins. He puffs up. His feathers expand. His body contorts into shapes no eye expects, sometimes like a smiling face, sometimes a floating oval of color. He hops, spins, pulses to a rhythm older than drums, becomes a living sculpture, changing form with every beat of his tiny heart. And always, always, he performs for her. High above on a perch, the female watches. She is silent. She is patient. She knows her worth. She is not here for a show. She's here for truth, for excellence, for magic. The male knows this too, so he gives her everything, every feather, every flick, every ounce of his soul, because in the jungle, love isn't whispered, it's danced. And yet, his reward is not guaranteed. Many times she flies away, and he starts again. There is something heartbreakingly human in that, isn't there? This tiny creature weighed almost nothing, covered in fragile plumes, and still, he puts on the most elaborate performance in nature. Not for praise, not for power, but for connection. We could learn something from him, but the beauty of the bird of paradise is also its curse. Their colors, their feathers, too alluring for collectors, too rare for hunters to resist. Their forests, shrinking, burning, dying, reduce their stage, rob them of the space to love, to live, to dance. But they haven't stopped dancing. Even now, camera crews trek deep into the forest, waiting days, weeks just for a glimpse. And when the feathers bloom, when the moves begin, something happens. Time vanishes. Language fades. And all that remains is wonder. So if you ever feel ordinary, forgotten, unseen, remember this bird. Remember that somewhere in a corner of the world, untouched by noise and greed, a tiny creature is dancing with everything it has, because beauty isn't always about being noticed. Sometimes it's about showing up every single day and giving your best, even if no one's watching. That is the story of the bird of paradise. Not just the most beautiful dancer in nature, but perhaps the most hopeful. Not all beauty in the jungle comes in silence. Some of it sings. And if you've ever walked through an ancient forest where sunlight filters through tall oaks, and the air smells of moss and morning, chances are you've heard it. Sharp call, clear, confident, echoing between the trees like a trumpet of nature. That's the voice of the blue jay. At first glance, it's the color that pulls you in. A vivid, almost electric blue, as if someone took the sky at midday and gave it wings. But that's just the beginning. Look closer, and you'll find black necklace-like markings around its neck, a white chest that glows like snow under morning light, and eyes sharp, curious, aware. The blue jay is no ordinary bird. It is intelligent. It is bold. It is a guardian of its world. You see, unlike many birds that hide at the slightest sound, the blue jay warns others. When a predator approaches, it lets out an alarm, loud and unmistakable, and the forest listens. Other birds scatter, small animals duck into burrows. It's not just a songbird. It's a watchtower in feathers. But it's also playful. It mimics sounds, sometimes other birds, sometimes even human noises. Scientists believe this ability to impersonate predators helps confuse and protect. But I like to think it's also the jay's way of having fun, being clever. Because the blue jay doesn't just survive, it adapts, it thinks.
8.
In many ways, it's the storyteller of the forest, bold enough to speak, wise enough to listen. It forms tight bonds with its family. You'll often see them travel in small flocks, like old friends wandering the woods, checking in, staying close. They raise their young with care, defend their nests with fierce loyalty, and return year after year to the same trees as if honoring their roots. There's something deeply human in all of that, and yet, like many birds, the blue jay's world isn't as safe as it once was. Forests shrink, seasons shift. Noise replaces song, and still the jay sings. It perches high on a branch at dawn, lifts its beak to the sky, and lets its voice echo through the wild. Not because it must, but because it chooses to. Because the forest needs a voice. A reminder. A witness. So if one morning you find yourself lost in thought walking a trail, and a blue jay calls out above you, stop. Listen. That sound, that sharp, beautiful cry, isn't just a bird calling. It's nature remembering itself. It's beauty that refuses to be silenced. And in that moment, something inside you might stir. Something old. Something free. Because sometimes the most powerful voice in the forest isn't the loudest. It's the one that keeps singing even when no one's left to answer. That is the blue jay. Bright as the sky. Brave as a storm. As a tree as a trees. It calls home.